Hello everybody and welcome to the Eureka Centre of University College Cork, and today I want to have a look at the answer to this question: why do we need learning outcomes? So I suppose for many people teaching at third level, learning outcomes was really brought to the fore by the Bologna Declaration, signed in 1999, as you can see there in the slide, by 29 countries. So the ministers for education, these 29 countries, came together and said we need to use a common language for describing our modules and our degree courses in all our countries. And the language of learning outcomes was chosen. And of course, the location for Bologna was chosen because of the fact that it's Europe's oldest university. Now, as you can also see from the slide, the overall aim was to try to improve efficiency and effectiveness of higher education in Europe and to make it easier to understand what is happening throughout Europe in terms of how to describe our qualifications. Note that it wasn't simply a European Union initiative. It went much wider than the European Union, and as you can see there from the list of countries, many non-European Union countries are also signed up to the Bologna process. So in the Bologna process, they set up this European higher education area, and they wanted to set up a system to make it easier to understand how we describe the qualifications that we award in each country and what qualification structures we have in each country. And they also brought in this diploma supplement so that when students are graduating and they move to another country, they have this document which lists out in terms of ECTS credits and learning outcomes what these students have achieved. There are a total of 10 action lines of the Bologna process. I've highlighted 2 there, as you can see. The whole area of easily readable and comparable degrees and linking it in with quality assurance, because quality assurance is embedded in the concept of learning outcomes, because if you're going to assess the quality of something, how can you get a clear picture of what is happening in that course if you don't use learning outcomes? We'll see later on in other discussions in this series of videos that the number of cycles, the system of credits, the promotion of mobility, European recognition, and lots of other reasons, educational reasons, why we use learning outcomes will be developed in more detail. So, in this learning outcomes framework, as it's often referred to in the Bologna process, as a follow-on, the ministers for education met at various times. So in 2003 they met in Berlin, in 2005 they met in Bergen, and time again they emphasized the importance of learning outcomes as being the common language for education. In 2007, in the London communique, you can again see learning outcomes emphasized time and time again. I realise that some of these slides are text heavy, but you have the slides available to you, available from CERTL, so that you can read them at your own leisure. And in the Bucharest communique in 2012, when they did an evaluation, they really saw that the Bologna process, it really has changed the face of higher education in Europe, as you can see there. And again, we'll be discussing these changes in the series of videos that are available to you. And also, they showed in the Bucharest communique that the development of learning outcomes is absolutely vital to the linking together of an ECTS credit system, the diploma substitute, this diploma supplement, recognition, the whole area of qualification frameworks, that's national qualification frameworks and European qualification frameworks, we'll be covering that later, and of course the whole area of quality assurance. So also in the Bucharest communique, all the ministers for education referred to the importance of recognition of professional qualifications throughout the European higher education area. And we'll be discussing professional qualifications because many of you may be teaching on courses that are accredited by organisations like the Teaching Council, by the Medical Council, and so on. And learning outcomes are embedded in these professional qualifications. The OECD did an interesting review in 2012 of the Bologna process, and they found two big things which jumped out at me when I read these reports. The first thing was that it was a global trend, that it wasn't just the European higher education area that was concerned about learning outcomes on the Bologna process, but other countries around the world were aligning their systems to be compatible with the Bologna process for international recognition and student mobility. And also, the Bologna process put a lot of emphasis on teaching, learning and assessment. And we'll be discussing these in this series of videos. So if you were asked, what are learning outcomes actually helping us to do? What they're helping us to do is to get a clear picture of teaching, learning and assessment, and how all of these are linked up. Now, even though all the Bologna countries were given until 2010 to have all their modules and programs written in terms of learning outcomes, and for various other changes to be made, and we'll discuss those other changes in due course, UCC was way ahead. And we started our staff training in 2005, and I was asked to produce this book to help in our staff training, and it can be downloaded very easily from the Cora website. It's also available in websites around the world in different languages, and for any of you whose first language may not be English, it has been translated into various other languages as well, a total of 13 languages in fact to date. The English version, as I've mentioned there, can be easily downloaded from the Cora Cork Open Research Archive that we have here in UCC. You'll also find on the web, in the Bologna Handbook, my colleague, Professor Anya Hyland and Norma Ryan, who were there at UCC at the time when the book was written, we wrote a summary of it, of what was in the book for the Bologna Handbook. And the summary is fine, but it doesn't contain the many examples that are in the book itself to help you write learning outcomes for modules and programs. We'll be doing those in great detail later on. So in summary, the Bologna process, it put the focus on learning outcomes in higher education. There are 10 pillars of the Bologna process. Learning outcomes are the common language for education, now at all levels, as we'll see. Bologna started off with third level, of course, but now it's gone right down to even primary level. And so we need to be clear on the concept of learning outcomes. And I hope that this series of videos will bring you through everything that you need to know. So thank you very much for your very kind attention, and we'll finish at that.